Now, host of news analysis program here at JoyNews, Samson Ladi has been crowned the best journalist of the year by the Millennium Excellence Foundation. The board of the foundation, under the auspices of the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II, selected Mr. Ayenini for the award under 8 constitutional honors. Now, Richard Kojo was there and has come through with this report.
Let's welcome him as I invite Ambassador Martin to help.
It was a gathering of people who have contributed significantly to Ghana's constitutional democracy.
Not too long ago, when the Ghana Journalists Association decided to honor me for democracy and peace building, I spoke and said it was not anything I expected, because what I do out of passion.
Samson Ladi Ayenini was selected by the board of the Millennium Excellence Foundation as the 2022 Best Journalist of the Year under 8 constitutional honors.
I've been committed to what I do, and I will continue to commit to it for as long as there is a need to ensure social justice in our society.
Samson was part of the 19 award winners selected by the board for their various roles in protecting the sanctity of the 1992 Constitution.
I'm sure everybody here now has a Ghana card. Everything Ghana is Ghana card, the ECOWAS card, and he's the man who printed those cards. And that's why we see that he should be the man of the year. Arguably, he's the man of the year, and I'm sure everyone here believes that he should be the man of the year.
The executive chairman of the Margins Group of Companies, Moses Kwesi Baden, walked home with the coveted Man of the Year award.
I think from the explanation I got is because we've been around for a long time, 32 years. We've been evolving over the 32 years. And our projects that we've done over the 32 years have had great social, economic, and political significance. And the flagship project for which I guess the foundation thought deserved this award as a conceptualizing, the designing, the building, the finance, and the cooperation of the National ID system and the Ghana card with the National Identification Authority, being the private partner of NIA in a public-private partnership, which involved manufacturing of a highly secure ID card by an African company in Ghana and Africa, being the first time in the world that such a secure card has been manufactured in Africa.
The Chief of Staff, Akosua Frema Osei-Opare, made the 19-member list of awardees. She was adjudged the Politician of the Year. Richard Kojo, JoyNews, Accra.
Now, as government continues to race against time to complete renegotiation of its debt stock to help it secure a board-level agreement with the International Monetary Fund, members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum are continuing their picketing of the Ministry of Finance to drum home their request for a complete exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. The picketing, which started last week, has seen retirees throng the ministry premises calling on government to hear their cries. Retired Chief Justice Ofaya Akufo, who participated in the picketing last week, urged the government to listen to the plight of the retirees. We understand that the retirees will be converging at the ministry this morning to still continue their demands. Now, we'll be speaking to James Aveji shortly, but in the meantime, we understand that government has secured 80% subscription of its domestic debt exchange program. George Weafe of Joy Business joins me in studio with some details on this, George. So last Friday was the deadline for people to subscribe. What do we know after that day?
That is the administrative window the government opened for those who were in the process to participate in this offer. What we are picking up from those who had knowledge of this whole transaction is the government has secured the more than 80%. If you work it out, somewhere around 86% in terms of participation. 86. In terms of the participation in this offer. And one interesting thing is that this also excludes pension funds as well. It's interesting, and you want to take note of that one. It included some individuals who participated in this offer But one thing that maybe helped push to get this target, or to get what we are picking up from those who have knowledge of this whole transaction, is that you had almost all the major commercial banks participating in this offer, the insurance firms as well, and also the securities industry. And that could be the reason why they've gotten this percentage. Where as at Friday or even Thursday evening, in terms of monetary-wise, the value, we're looking at somewhere around 90 billion Ghana cedis in terms of persons that have tendered in their bonds to be part of this whole new arrangement. And if it had not been issues about the exemptions that has been granted to these pension funds, government could have hit even over 90% or so. But this is based on the cleaning up is still ongoing because necessary settlements and all the rest. But this is what we picked up as at Friday, that this is what government has gotten for this whole debt exchange program.
What was the target of government?
Well, government was looking at making 80% in terms of participation to describe this whole offer as successful. So if they have about 86% now, then could you describe it? Well, these things, just like an IPO results, certain things could happen last minute that could bring the numbers down or could shift the numbers up when you are doing the auditing and all the rest. But again, that's why I'm insisting that this was as at Friday. The cleaning up is still ongoing. For them to give us the fine details in terms of the results, possibly today. And let's see whether they will come and confirm what we have picked up, or it might be dispute what we put up.
A bit of clarity. Normally, when we say pension funds, people misconstrue that to be individual pension bondholders. Is that it, or is the pension funds as in what was communicated in December when TUC or organized labor went to them?
I think that what I understand is that all those bonds that are more of institutional pensions. So, for instance, you and I, we have contributed some pension funds as well. Those ones have been taken out as well. So it has to do with all those pension funds.
And that not the individual pensioner bondholders.
I think that from what I picked up, and again, I was still want to insist, as at last Friday, it has nothing to do with if you are a pensioner and you have a bond in. It doesn't mean that. It means that all those institutional pension funds have been taken out of it. Could government come in later for a different arrangement for them? I think I'll say never, because it looks like maybe something will be done for them in terms of going forward and how to restructure this whole debt. But as we speak right now, as of last Friday, they were excluded from this whole arrangement, and that is why government has gotten this amount of subscription payment and this whole offer. Again, if you engage those who are working on this and even you push government hard on the exemption, what you get in response is that, and whilst they are insisting that this is a voluntary program. So again, Brace, what you get from sources and persons within government and you push hard, if you didn't sign up, what we are picking up again is that government is going to meet its obligations to you. And you realize that that's what the bondholders were pushing very hard, that exempt yourself. And it appears that those obligations will be met to you. Maybe the problem might be, because that's one we're trying to push hard to put the issues about why don't you exempt these pension bondholders with respect to their consent. And again, this is what we have picked up from them, is that they are going to meet all obligations to persons that didn't even sign up. The big challenge will be the tradability of your bond. So if you have about maybe 50,000 worth of bonds, maybe as time goes on, you want to exit out of the market because of a challenge and you want all your money at once. Maybe the challenge is that that market has been closed as we speak right now. So getting opportunity to trade that bond officially might be a challenge. In other markets where we have a very developed market, there are some persons, their job or private investors, who have to buy these bonds that could be classified as junk bonds, and they will trade it on. But our market is not that developed and all those things. And again, let us not take away from the concerns that are being expressed by some of these individual bondholders. I believe that they have a very, very genuine concern. They have a real issues. I think the challenge...
So what you're saying is that if I'm a bondholder, either a pensioner bondholder or an individual bondholder, and I didn't sign up to this DDE program, government is going to
That is what we understand
obligation
to you
okay.
when the coupons are due.
Okay.
Some would ask that, hey, what are you talking about? The 4th February one that matured about 4 billion. What we've also picked up is that, I mean, when this offer closes and things are settled in terms of how things were done and everything, government is going to meet its obligations to that bond that actually matured on the 4th of February. I understand that another one is coming up on the 16th of February as well. We also understand when we are pushing to get some fine details is that government says that they are going to make that commitment to all these bondholders.
Do we have the funds to do that?
Well, when it comes to other obligations, government managed to get funds to do that as well. So these things are very critical. I'm just saying that time will just tell with respect to some of these things that we here at our decks are pushing very hard to get fine details from those who are handling the process and those who are in government and those who work on this space and speak in this space. And I believe that this is what they are saying. Maybe very soon they will come out and let's see whether we can hold them against their word and whether they will meet all these obligations.
Okay.
Kojo, yeah.
What then does it mean to government's effort to get the board level agreement from the IMF?
I mean, before that, even Tuesday as well, they'll come up with what they call the settlement as well, because you have tendered in your bond, a new bond is supposed to be issued to you as well, the terms, which actually was captured in the Memorandum of Understanding. Now, don't forget that this whole debt that we are talking about is both domestic and external one. Government had earlier announced that they have frozen the interest payments on these external papers, and also, so what it means now that if we're able to go clear the domestic space, don't forget the Minister of Finance is supposed to go to Parliament on Thursday as well. We don't know what will happen in terms of the briefings and the engagement, and what that would also mean for this whole domestic debt exchange program. But what it means that the government might now move to engage the foreign bondholders. Okay. It appears again that when you engage persons who have these institutional investors outside, it appears that they are for this whole domestic debt exchange program, because it appears that they are better off if something is done and they can trade their papers and then move on all the way. So it appears that government might not face that much challenge when it comes to the external bondholders. Even if you look at the bit about the debt cancellation bit, we understand that the Paris Club, they've agreed in principle to engage government on some agreement that could possibly lead to debt cancellation as well. So if they're able to make some significant progress, don't forget that at that side, the IMF has also come on board trying to engage some of these countries and the institutional investors, the bilaterals who have lent some money to government about this whole restructuring thing. So if they close the domestic space, they close the external page, then they might be on their way to go to the IMF. Okay. But there are some preconditions that government has to meet as well. One of them, the publication of the covered funds that was done recently, was actually an IMF staff level agreement precondition. Okay. Because within the IMF itself, there is an internal agency, more of like ethics independent committee, that raised questions about how covered funds was used by the IMF to support member countries. And the insistence was that every country that benefited from the IMF fund should publish publicly to let them have a fair idea about how these funds were used as well. So that is one of them. There is also the utility tariffs as well that has been done. We also have some restructuring of the extractives as well that also has to be done. And then the Bank of Ghana and Government of Ghana zero financing. We appears that they are also making some progress. So if they're able to meet all these pre-board conditions, then they can table the formal request to the IMF board. They look at that, they've gotten the assurance from all these creditors that we are in Ghana's sole financing arrangement.
Everything will be fine.
Then the economists will say, all other things being equal, the board could approve Ghana's program. First quarter end.
When, aside Thursday, when are we expecting the finance minister to make an announcement on what we've discussed?
I don't know what the structure that it would take coming from the Ministry of Finance or government. Could it be a press statement? Could it also be that, listen, we are dealing with individuals, so every individual that signed up to this, as well as the institutional investors, the report will be sent to you at that level. So we still do not know what form it's going to take, whether it will be a reply through the email, through your investment advisors, your banks that actually sign on behalf of you. So in terms of the form that it will take, we still don't know. Will the minister want to wait till he goes to Parliament on Thursday? We also don't know as well. So in terms of the fine details as in how these things will be structured in terms of the announcement, we are still working to see how we can get those fine details.
George, I'm grateful.
Thank you.
George UFA is with Joy Business. Yeah, now, meanwhile, convener for the Individual Bondholders Forum, Senor Jose, has described the 5 days picketing of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum as immaterial. According to Senor Jose, the government has already provided the liberty to individuals to sign on to the new terms in the debt exchange program or hold on to the old ones. He added that the government has also indicated its readiness to honor the terms of the old bonds should individuals decide to hold on to them. Based on this, Senor Jose believes there was no need for any group to demand a definite pronouncement of exemption from the government.
On the issue of the picketing in particular, it's an immaterial activity relative to this DD. It's great with the advocacy and the optics of it. The finance minister was clear for something, and let's just face it. All his press releases post our advocacy jointly that one, individuals were free to participate. He also said two, if you decide to hold on to your old bonds, I will pay. Three, he has also said that he can't guarantee what happens on the secondary market. The truth is that the finance minister has never guaranteed the tradability or the liquidity on the secondary market. So that submission itself was moot. Then, four, right here, if you want to participate, these are the options you have. I think that we were asking too much from the minister. He has said that you are free not to participate.
Why was it important there to exempt others?
It wasn't important to exempt anybody because technically he hadn't exempted anybody till the DD of DD3.
No.
Now, moving on to other stories. Not less than 50 people, sanitation offenders, have been arrested in the last two inspections under the Clean Ghana campaign, which resumed last month. The arrests were affected by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Task Force, mainly at the Agbogboshi Market. Food staff vendors were the most offenders. As part of the arrest, some of their wares were also seized in the process. This morning, what's the status of the persons arrested as well as their wares? How about the status of sanitation in Agbogboshi as we speak? Has anything changed, and how can this exercise be sustained for a better and clean Ghana? Director of the Metro Public Health Department at the AMA, Madam Florence Kuchi, joins me in studio with some update on that. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And many thanks for your time here.
Thank you.
Let's confirm the figures for now. How many people were arrested in the last two operations?
So let me say we have arrested not less than 45 persons in the last operations. That is about 50 people in the last, the last two operations. So out of these 50, some were made to sign an undertaking to go and not to be there again. Some too were taken to court. 11 persons were taken to court last week, Thursday.
Okay, out of the about 50,
yes,
11 were taken to court.
11 were taken to court. They were detained at the police custody on Wednesday. Then Thursday, they were taken to La Court, Sanitation Court,
So it means about 39 were made to sign an
undertaking.
What informed someone's, the decision to allow someone to sign an undertaking and someone to be taken to court?
Yes, so you could see that the first day we started the Clean Ghana campaign 2023 at Agbogboshi Market. When you look at the videos, there were some young guys who were selling yam. They were supposed to be arrested. Some yam were seized, and then they used their own capacity to remove the yams from the car, which is an offense in the first place. So we left. Then the second time we went there with the police and we arrested them. So I don't think those persons we can ask them to write undertaking and go and sin no more. So we have to take them to court. Then when we took them to court, court also took charge, fined them, and then asked them to sign bond at the court that they will not go and sell their wares by the roadside again. They will move into the market. And at any point in time that any of those persons that we took to court last week, Thursday, is being sent to court, their case was not going to be sat on. They will just be asked to send to remand. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it means that they were fined at the court.
At the court, and they were asked to sign a bond.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. How much are we talking about here in terms of fines?
So some were fined about, let me say, 20 and then 40 penalty units. Was just a mere 300 and then 400 cedis each year.
All right. So those who were charged, what were the offenses? I mean, the 11 people.
So the offenses, there were 3 offenses. One was prevention of a public officer from doing their official work. Okay. Then the second one was displaying for sale food products by the roadside on the public way. And then that could also lead to contamination of the food items that people were going to buy. Yeah. Okay.
And that's unlawful?
That is unlawful because in the AMS Sanitation Food Hygiene Bylaw 2017 is against the law. You are not supposed to display for sale food that are meant for consumption on the bare ground. You need to root it at least 3 inches from the ground before you can display for sale, and not even on the drain or by the roadside. It should be inside a designated market.
How do you respond to people who say that, well, for example, yam, when we buy them, we peel them before we cook them and eat. So even if they are on the ground, it doesn't really matter. How would you answer to these people like that who ask those sort of questions?
Okay, talking about microorganisms, each microorganism has a way it penetrates into any environment that it finds itself. Some microorganisms, when they click into an environment, they try to look for a place that is suitable. They can penetrate and maybe go inside. When you even peel, in the mode of peeling the yam, when there are microorganisms there, it can lead to contaminating the peeled yam itself. And then you wash the yam. Somebody will even say, but you wash the yam and you still cook it. We have some microorganisms that can still cling onto the peeled and washed yam. You cook it. It is not every microorganism that die with heat or high temperature. They will hibernate. Then when the food is being eaten and the environment is suitable, they will rejuvenate, and then multiplication will take effect. And that is where maybe food poison or foodborne disease can take effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with all that you've done, the aim is to ensure that
the public health is being protected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially sustenance.
Yes, please.
What is happening as we speak? What is being done to ensure that the people who were apprehended last week are not back to do what, because that's what we see normally in this country?
That was why let me say, the sense or the knowledge of the magistrates asked them to sign a bond at the court. Signing a bond at the court is very, very important. When you sign a bond at the court and you go back and do whatever you've done and you are being sent, nobody will sit on your case. You will just be asked to go for remand. And when they even went and came, I told you they were detained on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, they were taken to court. When they came to tell us the story that they themselves will see to it that nobody will sell there again. The day they went to their cells, the food they took there, it was taken from them, and they themselves, they couldn't even sleep. The following morning, they were taken to court, and they have to go and sign the bond. Even the up and down alone is something. And their leaders assured us that they were going to have a meeting. So we told them when they are having that meeting, we want to be part of that meeting to also tell them what to do and what not to do. And I can tell you, on Saturday, I was at Agboleshi Market. The place traffic was flowing, people were not by the roadside. So we hope as we continue, it is going to be, people will adhere to it. When you take somebody on and the person go back and come and tell the story, people will see. But when you take them and you leave them as we used to do, we seize their goods, they come, they pay cost of abatement about maybe 150, 200, we give the goods to them, they go. We were just doing a merry-go-round. This time along, we don't want to continue with the merry-go-round. We want to sustain. You can see how the drains are very dirty, and that is where people are living. Their livelihood depends on the place. They are not even thinking about their health. They are just thinking about the money. forgetting that the money that you get when you fall sick, you end up using all the money to take care of yourself. And if you don't even take care, you could lose your life.
So you're saying that without placing men there to ensure enforcement, other people, not the same people, other people will not come and take advantage and do the same thing?
When you see that your neighbor's beard is burning, it's better for you to fetch water and even put it on the beard, not to put it by your side. Just put it there so that the beard, when the fire gets to your place, your beard will not get burnt. But if you see your neighbor beard getting burned and you think it's not me, I will come, definitely it will come. Now we know that everybody is aware that they are not supposed to sit by the roadside to sell. When you go to Agbolechi Market is very big. The left is very big for any kind of food product you want. The right is also very big for any kind of food product you want. We have the yam market. It's there. Why don't you go in there to go and sell? And you prefer to come and stand by the roadside. So we are cautioning people who are also patronizing these people by the roadside. As time goes on, when we come to enforce our laws and we get you buying by the roadside, we arrest you who is buying and arrest the person who is also selling to ensure that the laws are done. Because if you don't patronize them, they won't be there. But it's because we are patronizing them, that is why they are there.
Okay, interesting. So if I go to Agbolechi now, I'll see that the place is free. But where are the yams?
The yams?
Yeah.
So we were asked to give the yam back to them. So we gave the yam back to them. We were asked by the court to give the yam back to them since they have signed the bond not to sell there again.
But those have been contaminated already.
Yes, but we gave it to them so that they will not go back to sell again.
But they will go and sell the yam at a different place, and I'll go and buy and eat those yams.
But it will take time. Before you get there, it will take time. Maybe every microorganism has the time that it takes to die. So it will take time. So we know that. But
if you gave it to that day and then I went to buy, what you wanted to prevent, from people not going to buy them and to get contaminated, already people are buying them. It defeats the purpose.
It is also one of the things, but sometimes you try to put on the social face. Other than that, a lot of people will say you are that, you are this. You even sitting here, I know some people even say, hey, these people, they are wicked now. Economy is very hard, and then you are doing this. That's people's source of livelihood. So I think it was by there that the presiding judge said we should give it to them for the benefit of the doubt, so that they should not do it again.
Okay, so where's the train going next?
So the train is still within Agbolechi Market.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because we are staying in Agbolechi Market the whole of this February to ensure that before we leave Agbolechi Market, there will be a change. Maybe you'll be seeing a different thing taking place in Agbolechi Market come next when the train stops by.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
But you won't disclose what's going to happen.
No, please.
Grateful.
Thank you
for coming.
Yeah.
All the best to you and your
Thank
team.
you so much, man.
You're still watching the Joy News desk here on the Joy News channel now. Let's take you back to the Finance Ministry, where we understand that the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, members of that forum, are still picketing at the ministry to demand total exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. My colleague James Advaji is covering that particular development for us and is joining us live with some update from there. Now, so James is there now. James, kindly take it over from us. James, if you can hear me, what can you report is happening at the ministry? James, if you can hear me, we understand that members of the Pensioner Bondholder Forum are picketing, they are continuing their picketing of the ministry. You've been there since morning. What has been happening?
Okay, Ray, so if you can hear me too, we are live here at the Ministry of Finance, and the picketing has started as usual as this morning at 10 a.m. And today, we will have, this is day one of the week two of the ticketing, and we are having some other persons joining us from other regions, as well as people who are not pensioners. They have come to solidarize with the pensioners here. I have a pensioner here. He is also a bondholder, and he is coming from all the way from the OT region.
Well, we'll go back to James Aveji when we're able to get the lines through. But his neighbors never understood his resolve to collect heaps of, rubbish. There are things that are happening. People trying to convert rubbish into some other usable form. So we'll tell you a story of someone who has done that. But moving on to other stories. Elias Ojo Ajete Enum, a victim of police brutality, was shot in the head in 2018, but yet miraculously survived, has died, and finally been laid to rest. Ojo's dead wish was for the police to investigate and punish the perpetrator who shot him at Abokobi Akpoman when he tried settling a dispute. In a follow-up of JoyNews' documentary, As If We Weren't Human, features editor Jojo Kobina caught up with widow Deborah Ajele, who says the justice system has failed her, so she's looking up to God.
The story of Elias Ojo Ajete Enum is bizarre. In May 2018, the police had a disagreement with Ojo's brother, so he tried settling the issue. Suddenly, one of the policemen's guns went off, sending a bullet from one side of his face to the other. Ojo survived, but became paralyzed. He lost his speech, and the nerves in his legs were also affected. Ojo almost lost all his memory. He could not remember his wife and children, but he said he could identify the policeman who shot him. He promised never to let go of the case, so he held on, but gave up in January 2023. His children mourn him for the last time. Ojo's wife, Deborah, says her tears are finished. She had been crying since 2018.
I don't know what to do to myself. No matter how you cry, or the person has gone already, so nothing else to do about it.
6 months before Ojo died, he could not remember his wife.
Sometimes he can't recognize me. He will be asking me, who am I? Then the next time, when I ask him who am I will tell him that I'm his wife. But sometimes when you ask him, he said he don't know me. But sometimes when I ask him, he said I'm his wife. That's what we have been. So I've been introducing myself and asking him that maybe does he know that he have kids. This lady who say is my kid, and this one too, they are my kids. And so sometimes when you ask him something, he reply to you, but sometimes he will never mind you.
Members of the Presbyterian Church Akpoman gathered to mourn the man who was part of them. The police had indeed dealt them a big blow. His 2 children who grew up not knowing their father. When JoyNews contacted the police before the airing of the documentary in 2018, they declined interviews. In 2019, some police officials visited Ojo, promising to investigate the issue, but they never did.
Peace be I'm a 2. I'm a baby and I got more no pay come she mainly I'm Basilale. Ameka me yashi amba na money chatun ke boy say ba na ba chatun. And say na ameka ma ba ame ya me ba. For brother say ke mambi amenyia me say an still no ko wana no ko no ko.
Kojo lies in a casket and begins his journey to the unknown world. He is placed 6 feet down the earth.
So,
well, it is indeed a very tragic event here. Elias is finally being buried. But when he was alive, he had one wish. The wish was for police authorities to investigate and find the person who shot him, investigate and also punish the person. He's now gone, and his family are yearning for that justice, where the person who shot him is identified and given the required punishment.
The head of the family is calling on the police to give the family closure.
Through this your medium, I'm pleading with you. I'm pleading with you. I know how this our man, the IGP, Dampari, so I'm pleading through this your medium to help us find justice to our brother. That's all that I need from you. Please. Whatever you can assist to arrest this perpetrator who perpetrated this horrible incident. Look at him. My brother, I'm being short of words. So please, if you can also assist so that we can find the culprit who did this particular thing.
God is the person who's going to judge, not me. And not him, any human will judge him. It's God.
Jojo Kobna, JoyNews.
Such sad account of event. Now, moving on to other stories. Despite the current economic situation, David Ni Bokete, an amputee father of 3, has developed his own way of hawking in the street to earn some money to cater for his family. He says rather than being pitied and giving a handout because of his physical disability, he wants to be a leading water distributor in the country. Now, we'll bring you more of this story shortly. But let's take you back to the Finance Ministry, where my colleague James Aveji is standing by with update on the picketing of members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum who are still asking for total exemption from the domestic debt exchange program. James, if you can hear me, let's understand how the situation is at the ministry.
Okay, Bray, so this is day 1 of week 2 of the pensioner bondholders picketing that have been happening for the past 5 days, and today is the 6th day of that picketing. And if you can see behind me today, it looks like the numbers are quite encouraging than the latter part of last week, and the pensioners are here in their numbers. And as I was indicating, there are some persons who are joining them from other regions as well. We have an individual who have joined them from the OT region, all the way from the OT region to join them. He's also a bondholder, a pensioner bondholder, and he's here to solidarize with his colleagues. We have other individuals who are not bondholders. He is also not a pensioner, but he has also come to picket here with the pensioners, and we'll be interacting with some of them to get exactly why they have decided to join the picketing this morning. So the gentleman in the shot right now is not a pensioner, but he is here this morning. Let's get to interact with him a bit more to know why he's decided to join the old folks this morning. Thank you, sir, for your time. Kindly tell us your name.
My name is Charles Fojo Ajiman, a pharmacist and a former General Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana.
Okay, you are a former General Secretary of the
Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana.
Okay. Why did you decide, you are not a pensioner, why did you decide to be here this morning?
Well, I feel that it is highly inappropriate for our age group to leave the aged ones to be the ones picketing alone. If we believe that they have a good cause, we should be joining them And we should show a good cause to them that, yes, we support their cause. And I believe that, and as a matter of principle, I don't think that as a nation, we should let the aged who have carefully planned their pension to depend on their pension returns to be the ones whose money will be used. We should not allow the pensioners whose money they are carefully planning to take care of their medication and their food in their pensions, for their money to be used to save the country in these times. There are so many options that we can use. So I think that it will be highly unacceptable for us to see them, even one of them lose their life or not be able to feed because they could not have access to their planned investment. So it will be a taboo. It will be a taboo in the entire nation, and I call on CSOs, the media, the clergy, the imams, and everybody. We should rally and say, this is not the money that we need to save our country at this time.
Right. So that is a former General Secretary of the Ghana Pharmacists Association. He is not a pensioner, but he's here this morning to give solidarity to the pensioners. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I have another pensioner here. He's traveled all the way from the Oti region to be here this morning to also picket. Let's find out if he's also... sir, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Tell us about yourself.
Oh, my name is Louis Tebretu. I'm also a pensioner and a bondholder.
Okay, you are also a bondholder. Are you here purposely for this, or you are in town and decided to be here this morning?
I'm here purposely for this because I am coming from Oti region. When last week I saw a news flash that pensioners were picketing here. So I decided to join them this morning to also add my voice to it.
When did you invest in the bond?
2015.
2015?
No, sorry, 2017.
2017. Have you had any benefit from the bond over the years?
Yes, the last benefit was in September 2022.
Okay, so you are also here to solidarize with them. Yeah, so that is another pensioner. He came all the way from the Oti region to also picket here this morning. Let me try and see if I can get the convener of the group, Dr. Edwana Nientri, just to pick a few thoughts from him quickly before we let him go. Now, the deadline for the signing on onto the bond has ended on Friday. Let's know what their fears are. Dr. Edwana Nientri, the deadline has elapsed. Government has closed the portal to signing on to the bond. Are you afraid that you will suffer the consequences of self-exemption?
No, we first, whether the window is closed or not, we were not going to tender in our bonds. So we don't have a problem with closure or non-closure of the window. As at now, because the window is closed, we will be treated as having voluntarily opted out. But we didn't do that on our own. We're still waiting for the minister to exempt us. So even though it can be taken that we have voluntarily opted out, that is not what we want. Otherwise, we wouldn't be starting this thing at all. Okay. We know it was voluntary, but we wanted to be taken out of it because we know the difference between when you voluntarily go out and when you are exempted. Yes, yes.
All right. The finance minister we hear is supposed to update us on the status so far, the progress so far of the program. What are your expectations from him when he addressed the country?
I expect him to just say the pensioners has been exempted. He will be giving an update on what has happened, the results, fine. But I expect a statement to come because at this time, you can't get us into the program. Okay. It's close. You can't get. Maybe previously he was standing on his grounds thinking that some people would come under, but now it's over. Okay. So we just have to exempt it. And we don't want to be self-exempt people, no.
Failure for government to exempt you, what happens?
Failure will mean we will continue to be here every day.
scenes from the Finance Ministry where the Pensioner Bondholders Forum and members of which are still picketing, demanding for total exemption. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with business. Kindly stay with us.
Hello, good morning. Warm welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Desk with me, Kojo. The government is said to have achieved its target in the domestic debt exchange program. It is coming after the Finance Ministry secured more than 80% participation by bondholders. This is what Joy Business has picked up from persons closed with the program. Joy Biafe has the rest of the story.
Joy Business understands that this might be as a result of what is being described as significant participation by all the major commercial banks, firms in the securities industry, and the insurance companies, as well as institutional investors. We are also gathering that there was some significant individual bondholders that participated in this offer. Just before the domestic exchange program closed last Friday, we had picked up that in terms of monetary value, government had bonds tendered in worth more than 90 billion Ghana cedis. However, we understand that this doesn't include pension funds, or let's say pension funds had been excluded from the offer, and government was still able to hit its target for the program. There were initial concerns that the Finance Ministry will struggle to meet the 80% target when all the bonds that are linked to pension funds are excluded. But what will happen to these pension funds that has been excluded from this domestic debt exchange program? Well, an announcement is expected later today in terms of giving the fine details of this domestic debt exchange program. A breakdown of the various subscriptions from institutional to individual bondholders. We'll also get a fair idea in terms of what is next for government now that it has been able to hit its target under this domestic debt exchange program. Whether Ghana could be on track to secure the IMF program by the end of the first quarter of this year.
The Advertising Association of Ghana is seeking government's engagement to find ways to solve some challenges facing the economy. According to the association, it has been affected through budget cuts as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and will need government support in order to resuscitate the industry. Newly elected president of the association, Andrews Aka, made the call in an interview with Joy Business. All right, so that will be it for business for now. I am Kojo.
And that's our bulletin for you. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo. Thanks so much for your company. Enjoy the rest of our shows and have a good morning.